So I wanted to share my testimony. I am the young elementary school teacher downstairs, and I was away for much of the new year. So I wanted to share my testimony. So our God is a personal God. Let's remember our God. Have you seen him in our study of the Psalms this year? Chapter titles in our study this year that were so precious and timely to me were Week 20, Waiting for God in Illness and Anguish. Week 21, Seeing God's Goodness. Week 22, The Steadfast Love of the Lord. Week 23, God is in control. Do you love him more dearly? Have you heard his voice more clearly? Do you see him, H-I-M, in our hymn today? Recently, in the springtime, I was away for 12 weeks, and I was away with my father. Last December, I clearly heard my Heavenly Father telling me that it was time to make a visit to my father in San Antonio, Texas. I had the blessing of seeing him in September to celebrate his 93rd birthday. My sisters and I took him to the beach that he took us to when we were little girls. He didn't like to visit Padre Island, which in Spanish is actually Father's Island, in the last few years because it reminded him of my mother, who's been gone almost 50 years. But this year, last year, September 2025, he gave us, his daughters, the gifts of walks on a pier, morning sunrises over the ocean, and sunsets over the bay. I saw him again in October with my California grandbaby and my son, because distance can keep us apart. But again in December, I heard God telling me I needed to go. My medical mind pushed back, and I had a conversation with God to let him know that this was not a good time to travel. COVID and the flu were going around, and I did not want to take sickness to my father. I thought about canceling my flight. Then a week before travel, we were set to have that January blizzard, and again, I thought about canceling my flight because I might not be able to get back to see my patients, but the Lord told me I needed to go. My sisters had told me that my dad seemed a little more tired, but was in good spirits. We had a beautiful week together, but the morning that I was to return home, when I went into his bedroom to talk about breakfast, he told me that he had chest pain and shortness of breath overnight. Think you can stay a little longer, my dad asked. I'd like to go to the ER. Of course, Daddy. The doctor found out that he had had a heart attack and probably pneumonia. During his first hospitalization, miraculously, they were able to place a stent, and while his heart improved, his lungs started to fail. Over the next 8 weeks, we would be in and out of the hospital with more pneumonia and blood clots in the lungs. Every day, I talked to the doctors. I was able to look at CAT scans and be in the details of his lab work, but when I thought I had things figured out, my father would do something special. My Heavenly Father was rooting and grounding my faith in him and not what I could see or what was familiar to me. My plan to bring him home to Maryland was simply that. It was my plan. But our Heavenly Father's plan was to take him home. And I recall those weeks of loving and waiting, and here are a few things that I saw God do. Nurses heard us sing, "Great is thy faithfulness," to my father every night before he went to bed. Great is thy faithfulness. Doctors heard about where our hope was and why we could have peace during this trial. Great is thy faithfulness. I got to pray with a lady named Juliet at the nursing home whose daughter had been whisked away in the middle of the night and whose husband was in hospice and assisted living. Great is thy faithfulness. I got to see my father's nieces and nephews and other extended family reconcile at his bedside after being estranged for many years. Great is thy faithfulness. I had the blessing and privilege of sleeping at the hospital and being at my dad's bedside the evening he passed, singing hymns, walking the Romans road, and sharing our mutual faith. My dear sisters, Our Heavenly Father's faithfulness is great. His mercies are new every morning, and his steadfast love never fails us. I love him because he's so personal. When we sing this hymn, the writer reminds us that it's to each singer, "Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me." Our Heavenly Father loves you, he loves me, he loves us. So now as I've walked out of the valley of the shadow of death, and people ask me where I was this spring, I have the joy and privilege of sharing my testimony about the time I spent with my earthly father, and my testimony about my time with my Heavenly Father. He is using my father's illness and death as a gospel opportunity to comfort others as we discuss shared grief. So I just want to share a sweet story at the end of our walk at the memorial service for my father. My little granddaughter, Selah, who's in Miss Lina's class, she likes to wrap her legs around me and get face to face with me, and she's just a dear sweetie. And she's patting my face, and she's telling me, "Oh, Nana, 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 you are so old." "Don't worry, you'll be with Popo soon." So the joy of children running around the memorial hall, was just a blessing to me. So thank you for letting me share. That's where I was this spring, and just loved being in the Psalms with you guys, even though I wasn't here with you, in person. So thank you for letting me share. There are "Great is thy faithfulness" flyers in the back if you would like one.